I'm Steve Watson. I'm the Director of Athletics at St. Bonaventure, and on behalf of everyone at Bonas, I want to welcome everyone to what I think is a really special event. An event I know a lot of us have been waiting a long time for, and we've really looked forward to. We're here to honor one of Bonas' best ever, Fred Crawford.
Yeah.
Freddie, you know, it's funny, you do stuff like this, you never know what's going to happen. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of applause as we're going through this, and it's well deserved. You know, Freddie was known by all as a great player, but most of us here today know that he's much more than just a great player, he's a great person. And that's why we're here, to remember Freddie for all he's done at St. Bonaventure and make sure no one ever forgets how much he's meant to our school. And really, I think it's special to top it all off. We're doing it right next here, next to the Stith mural, two guys who really played a big role in Freddie's life. As you all know, things like this, things like what we're doing today, they don't just happen. It takes some work, and believe me, there were plenty of people working hard to make sure we remembered and properly honored Freddie. In particular, his classmates, and there's a slew of them here today, and a lot of you all stepped up to make it happen. There's an army of you here. You guys got organized with the goal of making it a great experience for all of us, but especially for Freddie and his family, and it's great that they were able to come as well. Joel Cote, you guys call him Lou, he was kind of the ringleader. Absolutely devastated he couldn't be here today, and I wanted to mention that. I know Freddie and the classmates, you know, he had a big part of what happened, or what's happening, and but there are a lot of you others who helped to make this happen. In the class of '63, you guys really rallied and did this, and I want to thank all of you. And let's please give the class of '63 I think your class made history a few years ago, or last year during the reunion, with the turnout, the 50-year turnout, and what you did from a fundraising standpoint. And it's a class we're all very proud of. I mentioned earlier, it's fitting we're doing this here next to the Stith mural, but also because this is such a high traffic area, not just on game day, but really every day with students and faculty, staff, everyone walking through the Reilly Center. What we're about to unveil is going to be highly visible, seen regularly by a ton of people. You won't be able to walk these halls without seeing the Freddie Crawford mural, and that's important because I said before, we don't want anyone to ever forget how special Freddie Crawford has been and always will be to this university. Before we pull back the curtain, there's someone else who's going to share some words with us, one of Freddie's closest friends from their days on campus. I heard he may have been a little bit of a troublemaker, but Freddie's partner in crime, Rick Casera. Rick.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and especially members of the class of 1963, please. Yeah. It's a pleasure to be here today, and I don't know whether we call this Fred Crawford Day or whatever it is, but it's certainly special for me to be here to represent my members of the class of 63 and to talk a little bit about my friend, Freddie Crawford. Why are we here today? We're here today solely because 31 members of the class of 1963 wanted to see this day happen. They put it upon themselves, and through their generosity, this day is here today. We didn't come here to talk about Fred's baskets or his assists. We didn't come here today to talk about Fred's baskets or assists or rebounds. They're facts. They're in stone. We all know that. We're here today to talk, like Steve said, about Fred Crawford, the human being, the man. And he was the man. How did we 31 people get together to do this? 4 or 5 years ago, my friends, Mike McHugh, Mike Gaffney, would come and meet me. My son was a basketball coach at Hofstra University. And we would talk about, let's do something, you know, to keep our friendship going. Tommy Middleton was one of the other ones. And we decided one day, let's meet at Saratoga. Why? The racetrack. That's another story that I'll get into a little later. But anyway, we started meeting there, and the first time we met with maybe 8 or 10 of our classmates. One of those classmates was Freddie Crawford. This past year in our 50th reunion, we sort of spread the word to other members of the class that we do this every summer, and if you wanted to join us, it would be great. This past year, Joel Cody, after we got done and we're having a dinner, said, let's do something for Freddie Crawford. And I was in the room, and immediately it was done. Because all the members were the members of the class of 1963. We, the members of the class of 1963, began our journey here at St. Bonaventure 55 years ago. And to see this many people come back, Freeze, is a tribute to you. Some of our members of our class aren't here. I would like to share with you a few of my journeys with Fred Crawford.
It's being taped.
It all began in September of 1963 when we came as freshmen walking up the steps of Butler Gymnasium. I was a basketball player, I thought, until I met Freddie Crawford. And you remember when we used to play over in Butler Gym, it was 4-on-4 or 3-on-3, and you stayed as long as you won. Real quickly, I knew to be on Freddie's team. I was fortunate enough to make the freshman basketball team, and at that time, freshmen could not play varsity. And the first event that struck me with Freddie was one day we had to go to Alfred Station, which is just down the road here, to play a game. And at that particular time, this is 1960, the president's daughter of Alfred had taken off with a white man. And I don't know if Tommy Neaton's here and some of the other members of the freshman team, Baco Young, who was our manager, would remember this. But at that time, we had 3 Afro-Americans on our team. Fred Crawford, Barry Bees Herbert, and Henry Hands Bennett. During that game was the first time coming from an area where I didn't have many blacks in my lifetime. I saw the hatred in America and how they went after Freddie during that game. And coming back on the bus, Henry Bennett and I became very good friends. And he said, "Did you see what Freddie did today?" And I said, "You mean not the points?" He said, "Yeah. He handled that whole crowd by himself." 10 years later, I walked back into that gym as a college coach. And the only thing I remembered was that night that Freddie put hatred away. We've all been in the class of 63 and heard through the Buffalo Memorial Award, the halls of Robinson Falconio, Hickey Dining Hall, John Sarando. To show you another part of Freddie, one weekend, Fred, myself, George Tucci, I think, because he lived in Syracuse, and a guy by the name of Paul Canoyer. Freddie remembers this, went to John's house. Freddie was never a basketball player. It was Freddie Crawford. And how easily he fit in with John's parents, and how easily he fit in with everybody that he met. John Sarando is here today, too. One of the other things Freddie liked to do was travel with the baseball team. And Fred, I have to tell you, just this week I talked to Coach Handler. And he was going to come, but he broke his arm and couldn't come. But the one thing he wanted me to repeat to you was, when you came back from your year of TB, his job was to take you to the dining hall to make sure you gained some weight. He said, "I failed miserably. Fred didn't gain any weight and I gained 40 pounds. But he loved to travel with the baseball team, and Tommy Middleton, Gaff are here, you know, and members of the team knew that he just would come along to be one of the guys. Probably the toughest thing in my journey with Fred was when he got TB. I remember visiting him up at Mount Morris, and he was the same. Freeze hadn't changed. Had the illness, had the disease, but it hadn't changed Fred one bit. I tell one other story after he became a star. He was playing in the Maurice Stokes tournament in Cutchess Country Club in Monticello, New York. And I called Freddie and I said, "Hey Fred, I'm coming to the game." He said, "Hey, good." Went up to the hotel room, and who's in the room with Freeze but the one and the only Wilt Chamberlain. So we come down to go to the court, and there's me between Fred and Wilt Chamberlain. You talk about an Oreo. We went down to the game. The game was played with very little lights and played on a cement floor. But I happened to have the opportunity to sit with Wilt for a few minutes. And we were talking about basketball and about Freddie. And I'll never forget this, Freeze. He said Freddie was the most complete basketball player he had played with. But he was even a greater human being. The last incident I want to go through is a couple of years ago. We went down to see St. Bonaventure play Fordham. And we all knew Freddie had a big smile, laughable, friendly guy. And Baco Young and I walked into the gym. And we were walking by the stands, and out of this voice from up in the top says, "Hey Rich, how you doing?" And I knew right away it was Freeze Crawford. It has often been said that a man has three characters. One he is, one he thinks he is, and one he wants to be. The secret is for those three to be into one. Fred Crawford knew who he was, he knew where he came from, and he knew what he stood for. It's very hard to try to describe a person with one word. For me, to describe Fred Crawford was very, very easy. That was humble. Humble. Freeze, I want to thank you for being our classmate. I want to thank you for being my teammate. I want to thank you for being one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. But most of all, I want to thank you for being my friend.
Maybe the coolest nickname of all time, Freeze. It's not bad. At this time, I'd like to invite Freddie and his family up here to unveil our mural. Here, baby. Come on up, come on up.
Fred the third.
Now, Father David Blake, the chair of our sociology department, is going to come up and bless the mural.
My dear sisters and brothers, I would invite you to extend your hand in blessing along with me. As we come together this morning to honor our brother and fellow Bonnie, Fred Crawford, we are reminded of the gospel story of the gifts and talents. Jesus reminds his followers that they are to use their talents well, rather than simply burying them, letting them sit idly. We celebrate Fred this day in his well use of his gifts and talents, on and off the court. We celebrate that Fred understood that the way to grow those talents was through hard work, commitment, perseverance. And we honor and celebrate that effort this day. Today we place this mural of Fred in the Reilly Center, and we ask God to bless it. We pray that it may inspire the thousands of men and women who pass by it each year, especially our dear Bana students, to consider their own gifts and talents. May it remind them of the commitment to hard work and dedication that is necessary for such success as Fred has had in his life, and commit themselves to this work to make the most of their own lives, and in using their gifts and talents, build up the community of the faithful around them, both here in our Bonaventure community and throughout the world. Lord, we ask your continued blessing upon Fred and his family, and we make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please join me in welcoming to the podium Freddie Crawford.
Thank you. It is indeed a pleasure. Rich, I've been seeing him all day. I said, okay, now, don't tell all the stories. He dusted off my reputation quite a bit, and I appreciate that. So, but I just wanted to really say how overwhelmed I am by the occasion and being acknowledged in this way. As soon as I get on the campus, I feel like I never really left. It's just a wonderful feeling. And certainly, we have to acknowledge, and I want to, because Sister Margaret and the job she's done with this university is really amazing, and I'd like to really give her. Steve Watson and the athletic department, and all of our sports teams, and the men's team, and the women's team, and all these amenities. George and the guys, we're walking around, is this the same place? And so it's really, the school is growing, and in both stature and academically, and I have always really felt a part of it from the time that I came on board. So, but I'd like to also, my classmates, it's amazing how things happen. I mean, we didn't really plan. We were just getting together and doing our thing. And so this is an outgrowth of some of the guys, as I said, the Gaff and Tommy and all of us. We were just having fun and talking. And I really just felt great being in that environment. And the thing about it is nothing changed. Whenever I see Baco Young, we just start laughing. We don't even talk. Or Rick, you start laughing. And, start telling those stories. And John Sawyer is one of our classmates. So we had occasion to run in. We were both in New York, right? So I ran into him, and he said, well, let's have lunch. So we were having lunch on 42nd Street, Bryant Park, which is a famous spot. And it started pouring down raining. And the waitresses wouldn't even come out of the place. He and I, we were sitting under this umbrella, exchanging Bonaventure stories until the rain stopped. And so we got connected there, and we moved on. And certainly I would have to acknowledge my beautiful daughter, Crystal, and my son, Fred, and my grandson, Fred III, and I have two other grandchildren, children, 3 others. I gotta get to Fred, come on, man. I gotta get 3. And so, you know, a story about Fred. So when I was playing with the Milwaukee Bucks, you know, Fred is like his son. So Fred's running all over the arena, running up underneath the thing. The game is going on. So the owner of the team grabs Fred, tries to get, and Fred looks at the owner and tells him, "Leave me alone, stupid." So, but after the game, he said, "That was great." He said, "He was right. Why was I bothering him in the first place?" You know? So, and I have a couple of buddies with me today. Bob McCullough, who is the national director of the Each One Teach One program that mentors young people throughout the country, really, but primarily in New York. And I've worked with him over the years to make that happen. And I got to tell, so my first interaction with Bob, we're in junior high school, and I'm walking down the hall, and this guy grabs my hat and starts throwing it around. I said, "What's wrong with you? Who is this guy?" And so we've been tight ever since. And he was an interesting guy. We've grown up, and I don't know if the playground basketball stuff. You ever hear about the Rucker Playground, which is the top playground basketball? And he has been the one who has been developing all that and sending people to school. Dr. Brown is one of my buddies, and so in my travels, I had the nerve to run for political office, and I won, elected to the school board in New York City, and during the time when there was a lot of stuff going on, not there isn't now, around the education issue. Dr. Brown was the superintendent of the school district, and we had many battles together, and after that we realized that we were good buddies. Now he's my doubles partner, and we go all over playing. We used to. My knees, I had to take a little break, you know. And then of course I got Bob McCullough Jr., and he's around. He's a filmmaker. There he is right there. He's a filmmaker, and he's made a number of films about some of the stuff we do. And we have, wow, man. Yes, my grandson, stand up, handsome guy, stand up, this is my man. This is my grandson's wife. I tell him, he's good. Yeah, listen to me, man. Where does he get that from? You understand what I'm saying? So, but I got the answer for Fred. We have, I guess he's got a beautiful baby daughter, and she is 2 years old now. Her name is Kai. Okay, how old is she, Fred? 1.5. Okay, thanks, Fred. So, but anyway, the point is that whenever I talk to her, we talk, and I says, "Are you a good girl?" She said, I said, "Okay, good. She's going to take care of my part, you understand? Payback. I don't want anybody bothering her. Just, torment your father, and we'll call it even, you know what I'm saying?" I forgot another, Wally is one of the young men that has grown up in our program, and he's with me here today to help celebrate this day and enjoy. So it's just, so as I say, it's an amazing time, so my classmates, man, you guys, hey, you blew me away on this one, and I appreciate it. And just talking to you, I point out that Whitey Martin, who was a teammate of mine when we were up there at the top of the heap, and the year when we played, which everybody here, I'm sure, the Ohio State game, and we were rocking and rolling with Ohio State. Because, what are you, St. Bonaventure? Maybe we had 3,000 students. Ohio State had 50,000, but Whitey and Tom and Ori, all those guys. Once we stepped on the court, which I like about the team now and the coach, we didn't even think about losing. It wasn't even a part, and the school and the classmates were all a part of that feeling that we had that we could do anything. So it snowed today. So I was talking last night. In the old days, be a snowstorm, and we have a game in Buffalo, and the roads are impassable. They get the snow plow, and he'd be in the front, and the Bluebird bus with Louis, we'd be in his team and be in there, and the town and the students would be behind us. Off to Buffalo. But so it has just been a tremendous experience for me, and really gave me the foundation to move off into other. I've been in business. I just recently retired from visiting nurses service, and I've been there for 25 years, coordinating community mental health, and you know, it was a good experience. But obviously, all my building blocks and all that stuff is so much I learned here at St. Bonaventure. And I got a whole list of talking points that Dr. Sawyer gave me to make sure I don't miss any of the things. But so, you know what about the camp thing? How about Griff? When I was thinking about this, and I saw how many guys remember Griff driving around in the garbage truck, man. And, hi there, neighbor. Oh man, it could be snowing, it could be anything. And there was the Griff with that sort of greeting. So, there it is, super atomic. That's exactly what he would say. But so that whole feeling permeated then. And it's a lot different now, but I think I'm hopeful that the students and the athletes that are here now can appreciate what that tradition was about and try to carry it on into the future. So I want to, I'm humbled again. It's an amazing thing, 55 years after we were here to even remember what people look like. It's difficult, but not for us though. Sorrento, and one other side, I got to do this one. George Chusey, so my wife Anita, who's Fred and Crystal's mom. George used to write my love letters. I would go in his room, what I mean? I wasn't that. I was playing ball, and George was an English major, Put the letters up, and I go home, man. Oh, a Cyrano kind of thing, what I mean? Yeah. So, again...
Too much information.
Okay. Thanks, Whitey. I appreciate it. He's the quarterback of the team. Thanks so much, everybody. This has been an amazing thing, and I'll treasure this, and I'm sure my family will as we move on. Thanks again. Just say hello to Al Checky, who has been a top fan of ours since day one.
Thanks, Freddie. Before we wrap this up, we're going to bring up one more member of the class of '63, Tom Neaton. You can clap for Tom.
Usually when I get in front of a microphone, I like about 20 minutes, but today it's going to get up and sit down, and they'll love you for it. Wow, we got together last night for dinner here, the class of '63, the basketball team, Fred and his family, and his close friends, and we said last night what a great weekend this is going to be. And I think sitting here today, it just exemplifies the special nature of St. Bonaventure, obviously the special nature of Fred Crawford, and the wonderful class of 1963. And we did set a record last year, and I think we had the most attendees from a graduating class back to the university for its 50th reunion. And we raised a decent amount of money for a bunch of deadbeats, and made a nice contribution to the school for another program that we're going to kick off this summer. So it's been a very, very special time for all of us in the class of '63. We're so grateful to all of you for coming, many of you on this little snowy day to celebrate this event. But in particular, I really would like to thank Mike Gaffney publicly. Mike, just kind of raise your hand a little bit in the back. Mike has done a wonderful job coordinating all this with Joel Cody, who unfortunately wants to be here but couldn't be. John Sawyer's done a great job helping us to raise the necessary funds. John, just stand up a minute. And I couldn't say enough about Rick Casero's involvement, and those words, Rick, were phenomenal. What thoughts, and great job, great job. So I think we have 17 members of the class of 63. Stand up, we give a round of applause. You're the ones that threw in the cash. Thank you so much. You know, we get together and it's like Fred said, it's like time never passes. You're together and you reminisce so quickly. Let me thank the university now, in particular people like Marge Adantonitis. Okay, is she here? Thank you, Marge, for your help to us. Melissa Curran, is Melissa here? Melissa, thank you for all the help you've given us. And Rhonda Monahan? Is Rhonda here? Okay, pass along our thanks, please, to Rhonda. And finally, we have a decent number of A personalities in the class of 63. So the person we owe the greatest thanks to, the words on this tribute to Fred have been done, redone about 14 different times. And the one who's borne the brunt of all that, because he keeps sending us the modified version, is Steve Watson. So Steve, a special thanks to you and your staff for the patience. Finally, thanks to all the people, the local people who have joined us today. You've helped to make this really a very, very special event. It's not just for us, it's for the community, it's for St. Bonaventure, and we so appreciate everyone coming here. Finally, I guess we celebrate St. Bonaventure University for what it's given to each of us who have had the honor of attending this university. I listened to Sister Margaret Carney, such a wonderful lady, talk about Franciscan values, about peace, about the planet, and about the poor. And I think you've embedded in each of us a love for others and a great understanding of our real role in life is to be men and women for others. So thank you to Sister Margaret Carney and to the Franciscan community for all they've given to all of us. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thanks, Tom. Just to wrap this up, thanks again to Freddie and his family for making the trip out to campus. We're all so privileged to have been here today and to be a part of this. Thanks to all of you for coming out today. I see a lot of community members, and it's great to see you come out and support Freeze. I'm going to call you Freeze all the time. We're hosting a reception in the Hall of Fame immediately following this. It's right down the hall here. We'll also be honoring Freddie again tonight at the men's basketball game. I talked to Coach Schmidt this morning. He wanted me to get Freeze a uniform, but we checked with the NCAA. He has used up all his eligibility. So, unfortunately, we won't be able to use him. But please, take your time, get a close-up look, get some pictures, and enjoy this day, and join us in a few minutes down in the Hall of Fame. Thanks again so much.